The folks that I have invited are here. If you haven't gotten the little audio pin yet, be sure that you go ahead and get that, and we'll just get started. Let me just wait just a couple more minutes to make sure that everybody's got everything, and then we'll get started. Okay, Karen, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Bev, can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you. That's okay. Let me check this here. Okay, Bev, can you hear me? Wait a minute. Bev, for some reason. Bev, can you hear me?
Yes.
All righty. Well, let's get started. Now, can you guys see the screen okay?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Okay, now look up at the top, and you can see my screen. You can see my little mouse moving around and stuff.
You got it.
And now you can hide your little controls if you just go up here and you just press that little button, and then it slides onto right onto the side there. So, you know, that gets it out of the way. So let's go ahead and start in on the presentation. And then after I get done with it, then I will answer questions. So, alrighty. How to get people to come back to church after Easter, Christmas, summer, and fall outreach, and other big events. An integrated church marketing and communications plan. All right, this is a challenge in a lot of churches. Churches put a tremendous amount of time and energy into big events, and usually because of that, they get a big turnout. The day is considered a huge success, but the following week, people are really sad because you don't get the return attendance in people. This is going to happen after Easter for many, many churches. So people get discouraged. They blame each other. They blame themselves. They think, oh, if we just would have had a more exciting PowerPoint or, you know, whatever, it would have been different. But that really isn't the answer at all. What we need instead is an integrated approach that combines print, online, and other media, and that uses them intelligently before, during, and after the big events. Also, we need to get our congregations to buy in on this. Getting people to attend an event and in the following weeks is not just the job of the church staff. Everybody needs to be involved. And when you do that, then you get lasting life change and congregational growth. And we're going to cover all of this, and I'll give you some other resources. Okay, this is the number one thing that needs to happen. Instead of seeing your big events as just the number one thing that you want to get people to, and then everything drops off, you need to look at them as really a connecting point to the Christian faith and to your churches. You want to introduce people to your church. You want to introduce them to the faith. You want them to know what is the next step they need to take, not just what's the big deal event for one day. Now, we need to do this for a number of reasons. Number one, it's just good stewardship. Big events are very costly. Churches spend, I know of a church in our area that put on a big Christmas play just a few months ago, and they actually had a semi-professional actor hired, and they had these Hollywood type sets, and they spent thousands and thousands of dollars. But I also know that they got virtually no follow-up attendance at their church from it. They spent a huge amount of money, but their return on investment was very poor. I do other seminars on measurement and stuff like that, but on this one, I just want you to think how many people are going to come on a continuing basis. Also, you need this integrated approach because it's just good evangelism. The church, faith, Jesus, all of that's really new to people today. We live in a post-Christian society, and you can't expect them just to come to one extravagant event and be impressed and become a believer. It just doesn't happen that way. Studies show that it takes currently approximately 7 exposures to the Christian message for someone to really understand what it's about. And I think that to recognize that, to acknowledge that, really respects people. And it respects their desire to do research on their own, to maybe join a study, to ask questions. And I'll give you some real specific ways to do that in just a few minutes. Now, here's an overview of what we're going to go over. And we're going to use Easter as an example, where you don't just plan for the event, but you have a whole integrated group of publications. And I can't emphasize enough really how important your print publications are on this. So often in big events today, people focus on what they're going to be doing at the church service itself. And this involves today much multimedia and all this kind of stuff. But if you don't use good print publications before, during, and after, you will not see the return on investment. So let's look at some of the things you need to do before the event to get people actually to Easter activities, and then after the event, or at the event and after it, to get them connected with your church and with the Christian faith. And by the way, all of these are available on a CD. And also, later on today, I'm going to be putting them on a download that'll make it real easy for you to get and copy and all that kind of stuff. Okay. The best PR, and this is what you want to be thinking about for any church, is your people. You want to prepare them spiritually. I just attended a seminar that this guy did, and I was so incredibly impressed. I think he's really got it figured out. In your print stuff, this is how you equip them. But the spiritual philosophy behind it, this is a quote from his website, Pastor Tom Mercer. He says, throughout biblical history, God has utilized the extended family as the primary instrument through which the good news of his love is communicated to the world. The New Testament writers call that group an oikos, the Greek term for household, and everyone has one. On average, yours is made up of anywhere from 8 to 15 people whom God has supernaturally and strategically placed in your sphere of influence. Now, see, using those people, you want to give them the tools and support that they need to then be successful. The tools are a series of integrated communications that they can use to invite and involve their friends. You see, this isn't just the church leaders because they're limited. You want to get everybody involved. You want to give them the digital resources, websites, blog, email communications. You want to create for them the invitation cards, the postcards, the door hangers. Now, how do we do this? So glad you asked. First of all, on the digital resources, I think this is always good for churches to do as background, because you want to be able to, your print needs to refer to something. It can start out with a website. It can be a section on your website. You might consider adding a blog. And I have another CD that I'm working on that will show you how to create free blogs and websites and stuff like that. This is something I'm actually working on for my church for Easter. Jesus is the reason for the Easter season. And on a specialized section like this, you can have the events, you can have the schedules, you can have the contact information. People can download PDFs. They can link to apologetic resources. But nowadays, I was just doing a little presentation recently where I said, it's just like when you see an advertisement on television, they always have a website. The print stuff in a magazine always refers to a website. That's just what you need for credibility. So you want to have that in place, something that you can refer to for people. Constant contact, you can make up little postcards through that, send them to your people. They can forward them to your friends. Real interesting to do. Now then, you've got all this framework. Now you have to connect people with it. Here is something that you can create. Lent is starting this next week. This is a little card that I did up that to challenge people that there are other forms of self-denial other than food. Food, there's always options that we have with that. If we give up chocolate, we can have, caramel or, whatever. Food is not a very good discipline these days, but we can give up our time. We can give up control of our words. We can give up our resentment. And it's just kind of a little thing to get people thinking. And then here, this is a little bit late, but put it in your memory file for next year. This is a prayer calendar that one church did for Lent that I thought was just fantastic. Probably don't have time to do this between now and next week, but just throw that in as an idea. But here's something that's really good that churches can use for the next coming weeks, and I think this is really important. It's a little bulletin insert. Here's a great idea. Invite your friends to church this Easter season, or 4 reasons why I should pray, ask, and remind people to come when I'd rather just relax and sit around munching the ears off chocolate bunnies. And the different reasons: life is scary, people are lonely, everyone needs a person, we're all going to live forever, but what neighborhood are you going to live in? That's the question, and Easter answers that question. And so basically it's kind of a little upbeat thing to get people to invite their friends. And then on the back side of this bulletin insert, where they actually list people that they should invite. Now, for you guys, we're doing this as a test seminar, and this is for you. I mean, this is a wonderful, wonderful thing that you can go around your churches and just say, let me print these up for you. Let me do this as a gift and just see how it involves people, because so many churches today, they're looking at these expensive companies to go buy pre-printed postcards and stuff like that, and that will not have nearly the impact and will have zero personal impact, as opposed to something like this that's tailored just for them. Okay, you get them to attend, then once they get there, what do you give them? Again, you've got to print up a whole bunch of stuff to help them understand the Christian faith, to connect people to your church, and give them a clear invitation on what they should do next. These connections are really important for your church overall and for the individual ministries, because, and this is interesting, I was just in Houston last week doing a live seminar on this, and people just had to laugh at themselves because I reminded them what you're doing for Easter is not what you do the rest of the time, and chances are you don't even meet at the same times. And somehow we just suppose that people will come back and they'll automatically know when we regularly meet, and that just doesn't happen. So you've got to give them very clear information. This is an overall brochure, a lot of printing, a lot of work, and it was put out by this church in 2001, but still one of the best examples I've ever seen, and I just cannot recommend enough that people put something like this together, where you give your guests a complete booklet that says, this is who our church is, this is what we do. People do not throw away things like this. They've done a number of studies showing that people will actually put it away, they'll save it. Maybe they don't come to your church next week, but maybe their teenagers have a problem, or somebody goes through a divorce, or there's a death in the family, and they think, oh, that church did grief recovery. Maybe I want to find out about that. So they'll pull it back out. They'll use it. So, but if you don't do this up and they don't have it, they don't know about you. A simple bulletin insert, so important. It just astounds me, the Easter bulletins I look at that have all this great stuff about the service, but then what do you do next? People don't know. But something like this: thank you for sharing Easter with us at our church. The message of Easter: if Jesus had stayed in the grave, when you feel lonely, you'd be truly alone. When you feel afraid, your fears would win. When you feel helpless, you'd be defeated. When you die, you'd face eternal darkness. But Jesus didn't stay in the grave. And if he is your Savior and Lord, you'll never be alone. He's always with you. Your fears can be erased by his love. He's there to help you in every trying time. And when you die, you'll enter life and joy. That's the message of Easter. Jesus is risen. Rejoice. And then on the back side, you can personalize it for your church. We're so glad you shared this with us. Now, we'd love to have you come to our regularly scheduled activities. You can see how people know what you're doing next. Bookmarks, and I have a number of them on the little download that I'm preparing. You can print up the front side, and that's just ready to go, and then help churches figure out how to personalize it on the back. Again, people keep bookmarks, and you tell them what's going on in your children's, your youth, whatever it is. It's something for them to know what your church does next. Making up things for individual ministries. Here I mocked up one for the men's, singles. I did a Greek Easter bread recipe, and oh, this was really good. It's one of my recipes, and it's absolutely fantastic. But on the back side, perhaps it would remind the ladies of what's going on in your children's ministry. Here's a thing your women's ministry. Here's a thing for the children's. Hi, if you enjoyed our Easter egg hunt and petting zoo, we want you to know that this is just a little sample of the great things we have going on each week at our church for your children. Please come back next Sunday for our Kids Stuff program, blah, blah, blah. But you see, instead of them just having this nice time at the church, then you know what's going on next week. And it's astounding how many churches, they don't follow up with something like this. They just assume that if you liked our petting zoo, that you automatically know that we do Sunday school for little kids at 9 o'clock next Sunday. Well, people don't know. So give them something to let them know. This is one of my favorites, and I've had a lot of people use this over the years. But hopefully your people have invited a lot of their unchurched friends. Put in something like this. Still have questions. Many people do. You've just heard the story of Jesus rising from the dead. But after you leave church, when brunch is over and you've had your fill of chocolate, you might wonder, is it just a story, or did it really happen? And if it did, what does it mean to me? If you've got those questions, we've got options for you. On the back of this sheet, we hope you'll check out the websites and events we've got to help you in your research. Take all the time you want. The issues are worth it. You see how something like this respects people's desire to really take seriously their faith journey. And it's got websites, and you can put whatever you want to on there, invite them to a study, an online discussion, latte with the pastor, whatever it is, but just engage people in a dialogue. There's a lot of marvelous groups that put out very good gospel tracts. The American Tract Society, they've got little coloring books for kids and explanations of what it means to be a Christian, and just some really neat stuff. So check out their website for additional things to put in. Introduce people to upcoming events, maybe a sermon series. Week 1 next week, what does Jesus' resurrection mean to me? Will we recognize our loved ones after death? Will people be bored in heaven? Can people get kicked out of heaven? Maybe an upcoming study where you just explore some basics of the Christian faith, answer questions, latte with a pastor coupons, whatever it is you want to do. There's all kinds of things, but once again, the whole idea, engage people on an ongoing basis. And finally, it is a lot of work. But as with everything in all church communications, it's never easy, but it's always worth it. So that's our little presentation today. Now, do you have some questions?
Hey, that was pretty good.
Did it come through clearly?
It was a little bit muffled on the sound.
Okay.
You guys agree?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. I don't know if it was the speaker or what. It was just, you heard a lot of hissing in the background.
Okay.
So other than that,
just hold on a second, Bev. Karen, how did it come through to you? Because you were just listening on the phone, right?
Right, I'm on the phone, but it was very clear.
Okay. It might have been the speaker then. I wanted to. I'm really glad we're testing. We're learning all kinds of stuff on this. So, okay. But that will be a challenge to figure out the speaker thing. So, go ahead, Bev. What else were you saying?
No, it was good. Charles took down a few notes here. He had to. I had to get him to cancel his appointment today because he had an appointment at 12 o'clock, and I said this is more important. So,
well, good for you, Charles.
Really interesting on this is this is the kind of presentation that you're thinking of a lunch and learn that we could do on a kind of like a monthly basis, Yvon?
Well, I'm thinking of all kinds of options, and Bev, you and I can talk about this when I get up there to Vancouver. There are several things. I just wanted today to test the system to see if it works, because there are several options for doing this. One where I can schedule live things. Also, and they can also be personalized. There's just a lot of different things. Because imagine if you were sitting in a room with people where they could then follow up with questions.
Okay, I'm going to ask the questions of the guys here, and they're going to answer this. What if we were able to get this on a, let's say, on a monthly basis, where we invite our customers and new customers to a lunch and learn seminar? It don't matter where it is.
Right.
Think about that. We can set this technology up anywhere.
Well, it might be just as convenient for our customers to, if we have it scheduled, whereby they can do it right at their own desk.
No, I wouldn't recommend that, and I'll tell you why. I was talking to Michael Sampson this last week in Houston, and he said that Riso's done some stuff like that. But if they're well, now see, I am going to be doing some that people can just take on an ongoing basis, and I'm trying to figure out all kinds of things on this. But if it's something that you guys are specifically sponsoring, Michael said that I guess Riso's done some stuff like that, and he said then to try to follow up if they watched it at home, on their home computer. He said it didn't work. They didn't make the connection with you guys.
I'm gonna step right in, and I'll tell you where I think this could work. Is we go into let's say we'll use one at Star of the Sea Church.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just use that as an example. And then what we have is we do an advertisement in the area that we're going to have a Yvon Prehn Lunch and Learn seminar. And you got to understand, there's two reasons for this. Number one, I would like you to do it live. You did a 30-minute presentation that you would open the questions for 15 minutes, so you're 45 minutes maximum. We would serve lunch to those clients. Plus, we would also be there talking about our equipment after, and, you know, that gives Charles an opportunity to meet with them further.
Right, yeah.
It sets us up different than Xerox, Canon, Toshiba, and anything else. This Lunch and Learn, Yvon, we need to do these once a month. And Charles could take a location, being at Abbotsford Langley, take that, take your computer, log into the system, because most of them will have an wireless access.
Right.
Invite 10 churches in the area for a Lunch and Learn that you're promoting. And the topic would be, example, this topic or another topic.
Right.
The only way this would work is if we try it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's going to work. Karen, how's it coming through to you, and what are some of your thoughts on it?
This is so cool because I just did my first solo flight. You know, flew away from the feet of the master, Yvon, and did a 2-hour seminar and invited. I had 13 different folks show up. Some that were clients, some that were not. Very well received, and it was free. They loved the information, and it's interesting to see how folks that I invited, I ended up with people I didn't know there, and they're going, oh, well, Janine, you know, this, or Kathy gave me the invitation. So it was really cool. But this is so neat to be able to bring people in on a short term. I liked what he was saying about the Lunch and Learn, or, you know, kind of capturing your audience and letting them see something fresh like this that's very timely.
Oh, that's, Yvon, we got to do one a month. You could do different, you know, we would take one, we would book you for the next 12 sessions. Every whatever day, and then we would pick the location and we'd log on. We would have maybe sometimes 2, maybe 10.
Yeah, I mean there's, and see, the
fantastic.
Thing is, I'm gonna close this out now. But I'll be seeing you, Bev, tomorrow.
Before you go, the handout has not been changed.
Did you change? I just got back from a couple days vacation. Did the handout change with his name correctly?
Oh yeah.
I'll check it here on my end here.
Yeah. The handouts, and I'm going to send you. I need to send you an order form, but you know, I'll do that. But thank you guys so much. I want to close this out now because I want to see what happened on the recording and all that, and I'll email you all back on that, because now, see, here's another thing. I'm going to see then what kind of archive format we can put it in. And there's a whole number of things, but I can't thank you guys enough. I think we got a good thing going.
I think this is fantastic. If we could do these, like, okay, we'll talk tomorrow. I'm too excited.
Okay. Well, you're going to pick me up, Bev, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Karen, thanks a lot, and we'll be in touch via email, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.